Hi, and welcome. We all know why you're here. You're here for part of the new series that I'm calling Who the Fuck Did I Marry? I'm going to create this playlist series, and I'm going to tell the story of how I met, dated, married, and divorced a real pathological liar.
Hi survivors, this is Sam, and welcome to my channel. I know everybody has heard about everything that's going on with the TikTok creator, Reesa Teesa. She has gone online and she's done like a 52-part series on why did I marry? No. The title is Who the F Did I Marry? This has gone viral on the internet. It's all over YouTube. And it's a classic example of what narcissistic abuse is and how a narcissistic abuser reacts. Today I want to talk about how to recognize some of the signs of narcissistic abuse. As I've mentioned prior, narcissistic abuse is a form of emotional and psychological abuse that can be difficult to identify. And today we're going to talk about some of the characteristics of narcissistic abuse to help you recognize it. So to recognize narcissistic abuse, you need to understand some of the key elements. Narcissistic abusers will often display traits of manipulation, control, and they normally have a lack of empathy. Can't talk today. So let's delve into these signs. Now, some of the signs and characteristics of a narcissistic abuser includes 4 different types that I want to touch on today. The first sign or characteristic of a narcissistic abuse has to do with their manipulation and gaslighting. Narcissistic abusers will often manipulate their victims. They make them doubt their perceptions and reality, and they use gaslighting to make their targets feel crazy, thereby creating a situation where the target becomes overly sensitive because it's a constant tactic of making the victim doubt themselves. Another characteristic of a narcissistic abuser is their lack of empathy. That's a key trait that narcissistic abusers will use, and they have a innate inability, if that's a phrase, an innate inability to empathize with others. They're primarily concerned with their own needs and wants. Their own desires are above everyone else's. And a lot of times they will disregard and minimize the feelings of others, especially the victims. Number 3, excessive criticism. A narcissistic abuser will frequently criticize and belittle their victims to try to destroy their self-esteem and their self-worth. Now, this criticism can be relentless and cruel. And it can start off with minor things. Like, I used to have an ex who criticized my cooking to the point that even though I know that I can cook, I've gotten compliments on my cooking. And people have praised me for my cooking. But through constant and consistent criticisms of how I cooked, what I put in it, techniques that I use, I, after a time, didn't even want to cook anything for my family because this person had made me believe that my stuff just wasn't up to par. So they can make you doubt your actual reality to the point where you lose confidence in yourself. A 4th characteristic of a narcissistic abuser is that they like to isolate their victims. And typically they're going to isolate their victims from their friends, family, and in a way where they make it harder for the victim to get input from other people. In my own instance, or I've known of other instances where a narcissistic abuser will move their victims away from their family and friends, like maybe move them to another state so that they don't have easy access, and they'll do things to ruin the relationship between the victim and their families so that they come not to trust. Narcissists love to triangulate. Another characteristic or trait of a narcissistic abuser is they like to blame shift. And blame shift is basically where they're shifting the blame onto the victims for almost everything they do. They like to turn things around. If you come to your narcissist with a complaint about something they're doing, they cannot take accountability or responsibility for their actions a lot of times. So what they like to do is turn the subject matter that you're talking about to them onto you and find the negative in you and what you might be doing wrong. That's what we call blame shifting. And this is a way that they can avoid taking responsibility for their actions. And they like to try to make their victims feel guilty. You've probably heard the expression, oh, you made me do it. No, you did that because you wanted to do it. So a lot of narcissists just don't like to take responsibility for their actions. Now, all of this can have a very negative impact on the victim. And Reesa Teesa, the TikToker, went into this to a large degree. Reesa Teesa, in her conversation with us, basically said that this has had a terrible impact on her self-esteem. She mentioned that she didn't have the best self-esteem going into the situation, but in dealing with this narcissistic abuser, she often felt numb and drained. And that is really typical. A narcissist actually affects your health. They can affect your physical and your mental health. It can have severe consequences on the victim's mental and emotional well-being. It's been known to lead to conditions like depression, anxiety, and something I wasn't familiar with until I actually got out of a relationship with a narcissistic abuser was something that's called post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's complex because it's not where you have an event and that's kind of just jarred your nervous system. This is like a prolonged, consistent jarring of the nervous system. Complex PTSD is very, very subtle and insidious. And a lot of times victims don't even know what's happening to them. They just know that they feel tired after dealing with this person all day. They don't have the energy to participate in things that they normally do. And pretty soon this can cause them to fall into deep depression. Now, if you recognize any of these symptoms in your own life, I would recommend that you talk to someone. It's essential to seek the help that you need, whether it be from a psychiatrist or a counselor or a therapist. It's very important that you seek out the help that you need, because a lot of people disregard the effect that being in a relationship with a narcissistic abuser can have on your life. So it's essential that you reach out to a therapist or a counselor, support group, just to help you deal with some of the things that you're having. And it'll also allow you to get input from other people, because when you're in a situation, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. It's in your face, but you're too in it. So it's good to get like input from other people. I know one of the things that Reesa Teesa talked about in her videos was that she keep what was going on in their house, okay? And that's what a narcissist wants you to do. A narcissist will act completely different in the home than he does out in the street. That's just the truth. They go out with a mask, but because it is a mask and they're not being truly authentic, they can't hold that for so long. So that's why the people that are closest to them, who are around them constantly, know the damage they can do. To the outside world, they present a picture of being perfect. Oh, that charming Prince Charming. No, he can never do any wrong, or she can never do any wrong. So usually it's the people that are around them, the people that are in their close proximity, that really know who they are. Recognizing narcissistic abuse is the first step in breaking free from it. And remember, you deserve to be in a healthy and nurturing relationship. So seek the support you need and know that recovery is possible. Take it from me, as someone who has been through over 20 years of all different types of narcissistic relationships. In fact, I feel like I've been a narcissistic magnet in my previous life. But yes, seek support and know that recovery is possible. And a lot of times in situations like this, you'll need to go what they call no contact, have no interactions with this person, because they have a way of sucking you back in to situations that are no good for you. I want to thank you for watching this today as I talk about some of the signs and characteristics of narcissistic abuse. Please share this information to help others identify some of the symptoms so that they can overcome this form of abuse. And of course, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I don't know what is going on with me today, but I am tired. I didn't get much sleep last night, but I just wanted to pop in and talk to you about some of the current events that are going on, especially with this whole thing with Reesa Teesa and her ex, who she calls Legion. I would suggest that you check her out. She is under the name Reesa Teesa, and she can be found on TikTok, on YouTube. Check out her story. My heart goes out to her because I can really relate to what she's been through, because I've had some similar experiences with someone who I would label a narcissist. Whew, yeah, I'm going to go take a nap. But should you need any of my consulting services, I can be reached at narcslayer@gmail.com. That's narcsyr@gmail.com. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And have a great day.